Alright guys, so for this video I'm going to run down everything right now on all the stuff that I use, so it gives you guys an idea that if you ever want to do something on your own, this is the kind of materials you might need. I filmed the video without doing this in the beginning. I should have done this in the beginning. I didn't think about it. It was just something that it was on my shelf. I had the extra Aves and I just started doing it. So anyway, at least I can give you a rundown now for the start of the video, so what I've used throughout the project. So I use Aves epoxy sculpt. It's what I use to do all my projects. So you mix A and B together in equal amounts, and you got like a 3-hour work time before it starts curing. In about 8 hours, it's really cured. Also I have BSI glue. This is the gel glue. I like using the gel more than anything. This is BSI Instaset, which means when you do this gel glue, I also did a video on this too. You can check out on my channel. You put a dab of glue in there and it will cure pretty fast, but if you hit it with this Instaset, it's cured in a second. So that's what makes life a lot easier whenever you're gluing. I use some brass rods. You get them in all different sizes, but you can use anything. You can use coat hangers, you can use paper clips, you can use nails, you can use whatever you need as long as it's going to be secured and it works. So I mean, it all depends on what you want to do. And then I have this surface primer here, you know, paint. This goes fine through the airbrush, I've noticed, but if you don't clean it out well enough, it will clog your airbrush. So there's really not much involved in this, but it's just a matter of getting the supplies and drilling the skull and all that stuff, as you can see in the rest of the video. So if anyone ever wanted to get involved with doing some repairs or maybe messing around, you don't need to get a 4-pound kit of Aves epoxy sculpt. They have trial kits where they're like really small little Ave things about like that big. The reason why I get the 4-pound stuff and bigger is because, you know, it's cheaper in the long run to buy in bulk, plus I use it so much, so it's easier for me. But if you ever wanted to try it, some hobby stores might carry it. You can order off the website and go from there. I do use Aves safety solvent, so you really don't need to use safety solvent unless you're sculpting and stuff. So for this project, you really don't need the Aves safety solvent, but if you ever wanted to, you can. But this just gives you an idea of the, you know, materials used in the project. I always tell people though, if you are a statue collector and things do break and you want to glue them yourself and you kind of can do stuff on your own, at least invest in this glue. This glue is great because it doesn't cloud your item, whereas super glue will cloud your area if you glue that, so this works out good. So other than that, that's pretty much what I used. As far as price wise, I can't really give you all prices because I usually go on eBay and I hunt down sales and stuff, so you just got to do your research and just find the best deals out there. So let's get on to the project. Hey guys, welcome back to Vinceville Custom. So today we're going to do a really quick small project, nothing really serious, and pretty much anybody can do this if you just get yourself some Aves and you have a Dremel tool. So this is a Conan the Barbarian from Sideshow Collectibles base. Now my friend that lives near me dropped this off to me and he wanted to change up the base a little bit. So this right here is a head that goes to a body that actually goes right here onto this corner of this base, and the body kind of keys into right here in this key. Now this head broke off of there, and really this head should have had a metal rod like this long going into the body, but it's only got this and it broke off. And he figures that even if I repair this, it's probably going to break off again because it, you know, you got this like heavy head hanging off the side, and then you only have this much meat with a rod, so it's going to probably break. So he figures, you know, for his personal self and his own item, he wants to just put the skull like right there. Now, I told him, I said, you know, you really don't even need to do anything. You could just leave the skull right there and, you know, nothing happens. But he figures, you know what, let's make it interchangeable. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a simple little key that it sits. We don't need to go crazy and make a deep key with the metal rod and all that. We just need to keep something that it just sits there, and this way, if anything, it doesn't like fall off. So anybody can do this really. Get yourself some Aves epoxy sculpt. This is what it is here. You get it from Aves Studio. It mixes A and B together. I got a little bit extra tonight because I was just waiting to do some work, so I got some extra right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the garage real quick. I'm going to Dremel out. I'm going to pretty much mark it first, get my mark. Dremel out, probably glue in a little bit of a rod, and then I'll put some saran wrap in here. I'll just push this in here and let it sit overnight, and then by tomorrow we have a simple little key. I think I could pretty much, if I'm, you know, careful enough, I could get away with it where there won't be a lot of, you know, residue or any Aves getting pushed up over here, and then I could just pretty much paint this like a blackish green, and then it just goes in nice and easy, and then you're all set. So I'm going to go to the garage, I'll Dremel this out, and we'll come right back. Alright, so as you can see, I put a little bit of a hole Dremel in there, and I kind of went in at an angle here and a little bit of an angle there, just so I could push some Aves in there to kind of grip it. I also have a brass little rod that I did right here, as you can kind of see. Oh, get the... Oops. Hold on. So... You kind of see maybe I did some notching in there. It's just some quick notching just so it grabs. So I got my BSI gel. And then it's pretty simple. You just throw some gel up in there at the bottom. Take the metal rod, put that in there. Now the reason why I did the notches is it's going to grab the glue and it's going to grab the Aves. And then if you have some of your BSI Instaset, you can drop some drops in there. Just to get this piece set up. Now what I like to do is while it's starting to get a little bit stiff, kind of just make sure we're at a good position with it. I think that's looking good. And it starts to get set up really fast and it's pretty much glued. So the reason why I drop it in there is just because these these little nozzle pieces break off with the spray. I don't really need that much spray going all over the place either, so I just use some drops. And so the next step is I'm going to get my saran wrap. I'm going to put this in here. Alright, so we got some saran wrap. And then, now for this, you know, I would normally put baby powder if I'm going really crazy, but with this one I really don't need to. So you just take your Aves and you push it into here. Now it's the saran wrap, it might, you know, when you pull this off like tomorrow or the next day, the Aves might be grabbing some of the saran wrap, but that's okay. You could kind of sand it out. It's not the end of the world. You just don't want it to attach to the resin here, otherwise you'll never get the piece out. But you can get the idea is when you pull it out, you know, it comes out at that little piece. So, now you want to kind of at least get a little bit in there. You don't want to push too much in there, because then it starts squeezing around the skull. But even if it does squeeze around the bottom of the skull, that's not the end of the world. So then the next step here is, if you get a tool, get one of the messier tools, you can get some of your Aves and you can throw it around and squeeze it in to here. So it's really not that big of a project. I mean, I think, you know, anyone could really do this. It just would, you know, it's just tools, time, and the materials. Materials get very expensive. But just adding a little bit of Aves. I always get confused between Magiscope and Aves because I use Magiscope mostly for stuff like this. But Aves works just as fine. Alright, so we got a lot of the Aves in there. And then all you do is you just go like this. And then if you really want to test it, you can kind of pop it out and see where you're at. And we're looking a little not bad. Yeah, I think it's going to work. And if you really wanted to take a look, so we could give you guys an idea where we're at, this is kind of what the key will look like. I just wanted to give you guys an idea. So, and you can do that yourself. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you know, you pulled out the Aves and all this, but you just kind of want to make sure that we're grabbing at a good spot. So we can actually just put this back in here like that. Alright, and then like, just listen. Now I'm looking around the edge and I do see a little bit of red squeezed out from what I just did, but tomorrow that's not a problem. I can go in there and fix that. But you just let that sit for a couple hours, but I'm going to let it sit overnight because I'm cleaning up for the night anyway. It's just something I wanted to get done now. And then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll see how it looks, add some paint, and we're done. Okay guys, it's the next day, and what I did was I pulled this off, and I just wanted to make sure everything was good and clean, and it worked out pretty well. Just pulled it off. And then the next step is when you put it on here, you can kind of see some red of Aves kind of came out. So all I'm really doing right now is I'm just taking my X-Acto blade, and I'm just kind of like cutting some of this red away, Just to, I mean, even though it's showing some red still there, that's not a problem. It's just a matter of getting the thickness so it doesn't look like gloppiness underneath the skull. We kind of want to make the skull look like it's just sitting there. So, I mean, that's pretty much all you really have to do there. So the next step is, I have some of this black primer that you could go through. This is really not good to go through an airbrush too much. It kind of like may cake up your airbrush if you're not careful. But it's kind of like better hitting primer on this than nothing. So I think all I'm really going to do is I'm going to take the black primer and just going to shade around the edge. I'm not going to paint the red piece itself. I'm just going to kind of paint around there. And then let that kind of dry. And then that's it. You know, I'll just leave a little shade underneath the skull. And it works. So now if you hit the base, you hit your desk, it's not going to fall off like it was before. So now it's at least going to stay. It may shake a little bit, but at least now, you know, like I said, there is a hole there for a metal rod. I'm not really a fan of when companies put a key and then a little metal rod in there for like keying. I really would rather see magnets. I understand they do it for you know, like the bottom of a foot or something going into a base. That's kind of a little bit different. But smaller things like these, I would actually rather see magnets. You know, something more of a magnetized item. But I mean, I guess this is the way production works and everything. So let's get this primed up, well, painted, primed up real quick, and then we're done. Alright, so got my airbrush, got the paint, it's a skull, make sure everything works out pretty good. I always like to do this stuff. As you can see, I put a new tabletop on thing on here. I had to clean up, spilled some paint the other day. It was a mess. So pretty much, let's try to get this in the camera. So we're going, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you know, you're not going to really see much of it. We're getting, you know, giving a little bit of a shadow. And, you know, that's pretty much, it'll look good on the base like that. So let's go back over to the base, try to get the picture from the side. But let me actually get this paint cleared out of this airbrush because we don't want it to cake up. Alright guys, so we're all done. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You can pretty much see that we might get a little bit marking here and there, but at least now it goes in here, it stays, and it's pretty much set up. Now you may look at it and say, oh my god, that's some really heavy black shading on the bottom, but the way it sits under here, it actually works with it pretty well. So there you go. That's a simple keying of a skull on a base, Conan base. You know, like I said, anyone can do this if you have the tools and the supplies. They do get a little bit expensive, but you know, there is trial kits of Aves. There is like you know, small tubes of glue you can get off eBay. You can use even a nail for, you know, you don't have to use a brass rod. You can use a coat hanger. You can use anything really. It's up to you. And it's just a matter of saran wrap, mixing the Aves, putting it in, and just letting it sit. You know, so there you go. So hopefully it helped you guys out. Maybe if you're ever thinking about doing some simple stuff like this, like, you know, maybe you have this statue and you don't like that body part here, but maybe you found some different type of skull, or maybe you found some armor, or even if it's like something from another company, a toy, maybe you found some kind of antique or something or whatever, and you want to add it to the base, but you want to put it in that key, so this might help you guys out. So you can always mix and match statues and have fun. So like I said, short little video. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back with some more.